Hi, I'm Holly. Hi, I'm Kayla.
I'm Kiyoshi.
Hi, I'm Ann.
Hi, I'm Marina, and we are coming to you live from Living Felt because it's Happy Woolly Wednesday! Hey everybody, Happy Wednesday. Man, we've had a busy 9 months, but this week especially, everyone's scurrying around, working so hard, and we have Kiyoshi Mino in the house. So we're excited to welcome him to our first Woolly Wednesday in our new media room. And we've been working together for a few days, so we hope to share with you what that is. And what have you guys been up to?
Gotten to speak on the phone with a lot of our lovely felting friends today.
What are you guys doing?
We were tag teaming some core wool today.
Some core wool. That's Woolly Wednesday, of course. We are having a super busy day and a fabulous week, and we have about 16 of our friends coming in from out of town, out of state. Pete is coming from out of the country to take a 3-day class with Kiyoshi. So while he's our guest, we're going to do a little Q&A with him, but first we're going to check in with a few of y'all and say hi. So we're going to jump right in and get started. Hey everyone, welcome to Woolly Wednesday. If you are new, welcome to the live show. If this is your first time joining us, say hi and where you're from. And you'll see that some of our veterans are doing just that. So we're gonna check in and say hi to a few people. And who do we have with us today, Ann?
See, we have got Joan from New Mexico, Kathy from Florida, let's see, Nancy in North Carolina, Wendy all the way from Ireland.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you all so much for being here. I know that many of you have been chomping at the bit for us to get back to our regular live broadcast. This is our first broadcast in our new media room, and we're super excited about our new space. Last week we did a live sort of interactive shop together, and some people won some fun prizes. If you're brand new, be sure to check in, say hi. You can let us know it's your first time. We always give prizes away at the end of the show. All you have to do is contribute to the conversation. For today, we're going to be chatting with Kiyoshi. You're going to get a chance to learn a little bit more about him, see some of his amazing sculptures, and a little Q&A. We don't have time for demos today, but you will get to ask him some questions, so think about what those are. Everybody who participates in the conversation, your name gets added to our magic bowl, and we're going to give away some prizes at the end. What's happening over there, Ann?
See, a lot of folks still checking in. They're excited for us to be back. This Woolly Wednesday.
Yeah, we're super glad to be back. And Hannah's here with us today too. She's helping someone on the phone. And yeah, so we're here with Kiyoshi. Why don't we just jump right into it and welcome him to the show. So just a big BFF round of applause and hearts for Kiyoshi. Come on in, Kiyoshi. So say hi to your fans.
What's up?
So I've had the pleasure the last, is it 3 days now? We've been working together
This is the third day.
Yeah,
Well,
for
the first day was kind of like a
just
a couple hours.
just a half day. So Kiyoshi's here this week. As many of you know, he's here to teach a 3-day class on his clouded leopard, and we're going to show you that as well. But Kiyoshi, before we jump into that, some people are meeting you for the first time, and I know you get asked this all the time, but tell everybody how long you've been felting. I'm going to get this door here.
That's a good question. I think it's been 8 years now.
That long?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay.
And what did you want me to?
Yeah, tell a little bit. I mean, I know your
started?
story, and I know some other people know your story, but tell them basically like how you got introduced to it.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before, but so I just came into needle felting pretty much by accident. It was 8 years ago. My wife and I, well, we had just decided to sort of ditch our careers and start a totally new life and start an organic farm. And we went to a school in Massachusetts called the Farm School to learn how to farm first, because we didn't know the first thing about farming. And it was this year-long program where you live on the farm and they teach you classes, but then you also work on the farm and you sort of help run it. yourself. And on the farm, they do everything. They teach you how to do everything organically, but they had not just vegetables, but also livestock. So there was a herd of sheep, and so they taught us how to basically do everything with wool. Everything from shearing the sheep all the way to
washing, picking.
Yeah, and then how to spin it, how to felt it. And so we had a class on wet felting. We had a class on needle felting, and so that was the first time I'd ever heard of it. Was this class, and the teacher came in. She was a sheep farmer herself who did a little bit of needle felting. So she just explained to us like the basics, like what it was and how it worked, and then she just gave us a bunch of stuff and said, make whatever you want. And so I just made this goofy little chicken. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. It's on my Instagram. It's the first picture on my Instagram if you want to see it.
That's at Kiyoshi Mino, right? It's just Kiyoshi Mino on Instagram. Yeah.
But I like to show people because it's terrible, and just so they can see, that's how I got my start. So you don't have to make masterpieces or whatever from the beginning.
Yeah, and you don't have an art. You're not a trained artist.
Yeah, so like I said, it was kind of accidental. I had no intention of being an artist. I wanted to be a farmer. But during the farm school, I made that little chicken for my wife, and then I kind of got addicted to it. After that, I was like, whoa. Part of it was that I'd always liked drawing as a kid, but I'd never done any kind of sculpture for some reason. So I had no idea that I could sculpt. And so this was like a revelation for me, like, whoa, not just that I could do it, but that like it was really cool, and it was just really fun. And felt like I was, for the first time, just experiencing sculpting. It was like, oh my God, just like drawing in 3 dimensions. And so that was part of it. But I think also the medium just fits me well because I love animals, and it's like the perfect material for making animals, especially like furry ones and feathery ones, because it is fur, and also because I'm kind of a crazy perfectionist, so so if I had maybe been introduced to wood carving first, I'd probably be terrible at that or hate it, because if you make a mistake, then that's it. There's nothing you can do other than start over, really, if you make a big mistake. So needle felting, it's very easy to start to cover up a mistake, or to to take parts out, and redo it again. Yeah, it's perfect for me. And
I've been watching Kiyoshi felt for 2 days, and which we'll share with you in a bit, but I can attest that he's meticulous. And for everyone,
this is the first time you see me for such a long time actually working.
Yeah, even though I haven't taken your class because I've always been working.
In my classes, I don't have time to just sit and mix.
I've been watching the man felt.
You've seen my process.
Yeah, and so for everybody who says I'm not fast, I want you to know he's in the slowpoke club with me.
I'm the slowest ever. Yeah.
He's a slowpoke. So if you feel like you're slow and you think that's a detriment, then I want you to just pause for a minute and look at his clouded leopard. So show everybody, Kiyoshi. This is the class that he's come to teach here live in person for 3 days.
So let's see. Should I come a little closer? So this is a clouded leopard. It's a species endemic to like Southeast Asia and a little bit in South Asia, like India, but mostly sort of tropical Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, Sumatra. They are kind of a smaller cat, maybe a bit bigger than a bobcat, but and they're pretty cool because they live up in the trees mostly. They hunt, from the trees, and so they're one of the most skilled tree climbers in the cat family. And that's why they have these really big paws. That's for climbing. So that's pretty cool. And the reason they're called clouded leopards is because they have this amazing pattern that I guess whoever named them thought looked like clouds, but that's why they're called that. But I chose the species because they're I love nature, and I care about I'm very concerned about the fact that humans are basically killing off most of life on Earth, and so in order to sort of emphasize that and to bring attention to the species that are most in trouble, whenever I have a choice, I try to choose like endangered species. So this cat is endangered, and there's, I think, fewer than 10,000 left. But they, because they depend on jungles. They live in dense forests and tropical forests, and those are being cut down very rapidly for palm oil plantations or what have you, especially in Southeast Asia. So they're in trouble because of that.
Right. Would you bring him in just a little bit closer for a moment so people can just see him a little bit closer? Go ahead, just a little bit more even. Yeah, that's
But
nice.
also because their pelts are so beautiful, they're prime targets for
Poachers.
the fur trade.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Kiyoshi, there are some questions. Sonia Oswald in Tennessee asked, do you make them posable or are they static?
No, so yeah, I get asked that a lot, but no, I don't. My things aren't posable because, as I'll probably explain later, but I make all my pieces very firm. Everything is felted very firmly because in order to make a smooth outer, coat or layer, what have you, you have to have the core sculpture very firm, or else when you add the fur and things like that, you're deforming the shape that you want it to have underneath. And so when you have a very firmly felted core, then you can't really, it's not flexible anymore.
Right.
And if you tried to pose this, you'd kind of tear the wool,
away. And also the wire over time is subject to breakage, just being if
Right, you don't want to be bending it
it'll
over
break.
and over again. Yeah.
Ivadine Anderson asked, do people commission pieces from you, or do they just purchase them?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I make is by request. So commissions.
People do
But-
commission.
But then I also sell it. Now I'm starting to sell most of my stuff through a gallery in Cambridge, Boston, near Boston, called Mobilia Gallery.
Oh, awesome. Mobilia Gallery. That's awesome. Angie McCain asked the universal and eternal question, and Angelina Fleary asked, how long did it take you to make?
Yep. So like Marina was saying, I'm kind of painfully slow, and it's not that I'm like moving slowly. It's that I make everything, I sculpt everything very firmly. That takes a long time. You have to keep adding wool until it gets pretty solid, and then I'm just very meticulous, I guess, just like. Very careful about where I place things, and all of that takes a lot of time. But this particular piece probably took me about 3 weeks, maybe over a little over 3 weeks, which is most of the stuff that I do takes 3 or 4 weeks. And that's, working maybe on average like 6 hours a day or something. So.
Can you bring him face forward closer? People want to see his eyes. So can you just go ahead and come right on in a
This
little bit
camera
more
here?
even? Yeah, both. Just if you come kind of in the middle between the two and just move real slow. I come in even a little bit closer. I think you can get a little bit closer. Yeah, and that camera's having a hard time focus. I don't think it will. I'll try if you pause. I'll try and get, yeah, it doesn't want to focus on that one.
Put this one again.
Kiyoshi, people are asking, did you use aluminum or steel wire?
I usually use steel, like stainless steel wire, just because it's stronger, like for a given thickness, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, they're asking about the wool you used for him.
So on the inside, I use the core wool from Living Felt, and then the outside is also mostly, or maybe all Living Felt wool, but it's the merino top is what I think you call it. Yeah, so it's the merino that comes in roving. It's been straightened. I use that for pretty much any of my pieces for the outside, for feathers or for fur, mainly because I do a lot of like loose fur, like you can see in the neck here that sticks out, and even the sort of shorter fur, I lay it in very specific directions, and it's because it's very fine, it stays pretty straight, like coarser wool is pretty like kinky and curly, and this
Sometimes.
yeah, I mean the merino can also be sort of curly too, but when it's in the roving, it stays pretty straight and neat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I need for fur and feathers and stuff.
Right. So some questions are repeating, but one of the questions is, what kind of needles do you like to use?
So probably the needle that I use most often is the 40 spiral that you can get at Living Felt, the purple one. Yeah, for some reason, I just like the way it feels for most things. The 36 one is probably faster for if you want to just use one needle and you're working with the core wool and making just a bigger kind of sculpted shape. But I don't know. It's tough for me the how much it catches the wool and indents it or whatever.
Right.
I just like the way the spiral 40 feels. And then for the finer wool, like on the outer parts with the merino, making fur and things, the 40 is probably better. And I try whenever I remember to switch to a 40 when I'm doing this outer stuff. Not 40, the 42.
So you use
the yellow one.
36 for the base structure.
Well, even so that's what I'm saying. Like I stopped kind of using the 36 as much. I just use the
40 spiral.
40 spiral.
Yeah, you're like a one knife kind of guy.
Yeah, but I'll use like the Clover 3.
The pen tool.
Yeah, the pen tool.
We had it around here earlier.
Like 3 finer needles, and that's also a little bit faster.
Right. So I brought in the colors. These are the colors we're going to be using in the workshop this weekend. Yeah, these are the colors Kiyoshi has specified. So we're at like a black, a dark gray, some golden browns, and natural white, and then a pink for the nose.
But you can see these are not the same colors, and none of these are this color, and it's because if you look closely, it's actually 3
blends.
3 or 4 different colors blended together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is more like an animal.
Well, yeah, if you look at any animal, their fur is a lot of different colors.
We show the paw pads. Some people want to see the paw pads. Yeah, cute. So Devin McCarroll says, any tips for felting with merino top? I find that my needle tends to slip between the strands because it's combed so straight as opposed to MC1.
Right. It is a little slower going, but I mean, if you use a 42, it goes. That works, much better than the other kinds of needles. It'll catch the finer fibers much better. So part of it is what needle you're using, but yeah, you just have to be patient with it because it is slower felting than like the core wool or coarser kinds of wool.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions you're holding on to, Anne?
Let's see.
Sonia asked, do you cut the fiber or do you just leave it, lay it long and leave it?
Yeah, I always I always trim a little bit on the when I'm working with fur, just because, like I said, I lay it flat, or have it sticking out. Say like on the neck, I'll felt it in, but then I have to trim it to the right length, and then for the fur as well, you don't want to just like take use the whole staple length of the wool, because that's like 3 or 4 inches. So I'll just like cut it to about an inch or something, and that's more realistic because it looks like their own fur is only so long,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll put layer after layer of just like 1 inch pieces,
Right.
sort of one on top of the other, overlapping a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So then so I'm doing a lot of cutting.
So here's an interesting question from Sherry Swan. She says, what type of lights or lamps do you use for detail work? So maybe you can tell us, like, when you're working on a piece, what is your studio setup like?
If you saw our work, you'd probably laugh, because I don't, I'm just not very careful about those sorts of things. So I just work in one of the bedrooms of my house. It's like a study now. And it's just, there's nothing special. I don't use special lights. It's probably way too dark.
Do you sit at a desk?
I sit at a desk
Okay.
with a computer because I'm always looking at reference photos.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just Google image and find like as many photos as I possibly can of the animal I'm working with. I wish I could have like 3-dimensional models to work off of, but I never have that luxury. I'm always having to piece together a 3-dimensional thing based off of like 2-dimensional images from all different angles that I can find, and usually it's not great because first of all they're always photos of completely different individuals, and all animals even from the same species look different. Like
Right.
There's a huge range of different fur patterns and faces, and so it's a challenge, but I just my setup is not ideal at all. But that's part of the reason I think needle felting fits with me, because I'm not that type of person. I'm not good at like planning ahead, and needle felting is something that you do in like pretty much any situation. Like you don't need very much. You need like something soft to do it on top of.
Mm-hmm.
You need a needle, and you need some wool, maybe some wire, and that's pretty much it. And then you don't need any space, unless you're making something huge. But usually you're not, because it takes forever. But I can attest to that. But most of the things I make are pretty manageable, less than a foot long or whatever. So you can, like, I'm always saying I needle felt in the car while my wife is driving. So yeah, you can pretty much do it anywhere. That's part of what I like about it.
Yeah. Well, so we have a great question from Diana Geis, who is just an amazing wildlife photographer. She's
Oh, cool.
always especially getting like owls or birds. She just
Okay.
gets some amazing shots. And she asked, how much research do you do on your subjects before you make them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't do a ton of research, but I definitely read about their conservation status and just basic stuff about their habits and their habitat and.
But you're looking at them when you're felting. You're looking
But
at
yeah,
different
as far as visual research, yeah, I do a lot because whatever imagery is out there, I try to find, and I do actually learn a lot whenever I make a piece about certain animals. I learned that cheetahs have are one of the only cats that have their claws permanently out, like they can't retract their claws.
Really?
And that's very important because I had to give it claws. Like
Had
I would, if I hadn't read about it and like looked at lots of images, I wouldn't have known. But so this is eventually would be a cheetah. This is sort of a half-finished cheetah. You can see their paws are very different from sort of like that guy. They look much more like dog paws. Here, I don't know if you can see, but they're very similar to dog paws, basically. You can see their claws are out, and they're sort of more elongated, and there's a very good reason for that, because their whole thing is that they run fast and they're very agile. So they use their claws for grip, like track spikes on track shoes or whatever. And it's a trade-off. They have to sacrifice their weapons for speed and maneuverability. And so things like that I learned. And to make up for that, they have thumbs, basically. So most cats, they just have these prominent, 4 fingers or toes, whatever. But cheetahs have a much more prominent, thumb.
How interesting.
And that's their only sharp claw, because they can keep that off the ground. And they use that to grab onto their prey.
How interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So they just grab things with their thumbs and their thumb claws.
You're pinned.
Yeah.
So here's a question from someone who is a very prolific felter. She wet felts and needle felts. Kimberly Pulley asked, do you do any hand exercises, or do you do anything to keep your hands conditioned for felting? Because I know she and I we shared actually the same type of injury last year on our hands, and it was trigger finger. Well, mine didn't, but from trigger finger. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but do you do anything to keep your hands in shape or to minimize the stress from felting so much? Some people just feel a lot of stress on the body when they felt.
Really? I don't know. I mean, maybe I've been lucky, or it might just be also there because I don't move very much when I felt.
Mm-hmm.
What I try to teach people also, you shouldn't be moving a lot or using a lot of force anyway. Mm-hmm. When I felt, it's basically just like this.
Yeah, very small. I've noticed, you have very small movements. Yeah, and you're very close to your work too.
Right, so if anything, I'm using maybe my bicep, my elbow joint. Mm-hmm. I don't move my wrist at all, hardly. Mm-hmm. I don't do this. It's just, basically from almost my whole arm. And then, I try to, you don't really need to hold the needle very tightly. And I use whenever I'm working with one needle, I use a holder like this. It's just much more ergonomic than trying to hold on to just the needle itself. And I just hold it lightly like that.
So some people are some of these these gals are saying you're too young to notice if you injured yourself yet. I think he's too young to notice.
You have no idea. I was just telling Maria, I just celebrated my 40th birthday. So
Yay! Happy birthday!
Not very
That's funny. Okay, so just one last question on this, I think, is people are asking, how do you protect them from dust?
I don't really, but I tell people, if they're buying my pieces to, ideally if they could try to find like a glass case or something for them, or plexiglass or something.
To put them in.
Yeah, because they do attract dust. But I hardly ever have pieces like sitting around in my house.
You have what sitting around?
I hardly ever have pieces sitting around for very long.
Right. Somebody asked, do you have a bunch of half-finished pieces like the rest of us?
No, I can't really work that way. I have to do one thing completely before I can move on to the next one.
Right.
Because I'm always like thinking about it, and then if I move on to something else and take a few months doing that or a month or something, and then try to come back to the piece that I was working on, I forget what I was doing. There's always lots of things I have to keep in mind.
Because you're 40.
Yeah, so I don't really have half-finished pieces other than the one that I'm working on.
You don't.
Yeah.
Let's see, do you mind if I bring him in one more time? Let's bring this guy in. Will you guide me? I want to see. Well, first I'm going to go to the YouTube camera for those who are joining. I don't know if it's going to focus on that, so you can kind of. It's not focused. Can it focus on my finger?
It's not focused.
No, I'm sorry, y'all. I wanted to bring it in so you can see how magnificent this is. But Kiyoshi, you have really good high-res photos of this guy on your website, right?
Yeah.
And
Instagram and on
yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram. So look.
I haven't updated my website in a few months, but
okay, so don't go to his website, but go to Instagram, Kiyoshi Mino. Follow him on Facebook too. Now, Kiyoshi, you have some fun things coming up this year, so let's tell him about the New York Times thing.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting thing for needle felting in general. I got contacted a couple months ago by editors from the New York Times T magazine, which is their fashion and design magazine. It comes with the Sunday Times once a month, I think. And they, for God knows why, decided that in this year they do every year they do a design issue. And this year in their design issue, they said we want to do an article on needle felted animals, specifically. I don't know why I guess because they're becoming more popular, and which is cool.
Very cool.
So it's amazing because needle felting hasn't gotten much attention. It's been it's relatively young sort of art form or craft, and usually things that are considered craft are not featured in like New York Times art magazines. So it's great for the medium in general, but they're featuring I guess like 6 or 7 artists, I think. And so they interviewed us, and they told me they wanted to do a photo shoot in New York with like all of our pieces like together, and like as many as I could, as we can get together and send. And so like I said, I don't have many pieces at home
personally,
like ever. Yeah, so they're all like out and collectors or people who bought them, or the gallery mobilia, and like one of my best pieces, my Bengal tiger that I did, which is like one of my biggest things I made. It was about like this big. I was at the Fuller Craft Museum, so I had to like contact all these people and like round up all these pieces, and so I had to go to Boston first. And so I told them they wanted me to just ship all this stuff, but I told them that whenever I do an exhibit or something, or a photo shoot or whatever, I always insist on being there when my pieces arrive, because I mean it's like loose fur. There's no way that I can ship it without it getting messed up.
Right.
So so I told them, I'll drive the pieces there personally, and they were cool with that, and so I made this road trip all the way from Rock Island, Illinois to first to Boston, pick up a bunch of pieces there. Well, first to Chicago, pick up pieces from a couple of different people, who'd collected my stuff, and then brought those to Boston. I had to pick up pieces there at the Fuller Craft Museum, the gallery, then to New York. And then the photo shoot was a really cool experience because they had a professional photographer and these fancy fashion industry photographer and sort of designer who was putting designing the whole shot and everything. And it was they took 2 photographs basically, and a couple copies of each in different lighting, whatever, but it took 8 hours. So I was like, I always thought photography was kind of a joke, it's like, oh, you just take pictures and stuff, but it was a lot.
The styling and
yeah,
stuff.
So I gained a lot of respect for photographers and for fashion, industry people. It was pretty cool. They had they set it up like a still life, like on this big table, this sort of 19th century still life kind of, and they had all of our pieces together, for 6 or 7 artists. So it was 20 pieces or something in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be pretty cool.
It's amazing.
So you'll see when it comes out. It'll be September 22nd. Is when the issue comes out. So look out for that. September 22nd, Sunday, New York Times.
Sunday, New York Times.
Make sure you
September
subscribe.
22nd. Yeah.
I think it'll be big for needle felting.
Yeah. Awesome. And congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's amazing. Now, Kiyoshi, not everybody can take your classes in person. And I know that people have been asking us for a long time. So do you think that we should tell them what we've been up to for the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think it's let
the cat out of the bag. So I've been keeping it a secret from y'all for a long, long time, mostly because I know once I announce it, you're going to ask us, about 100 of you will ask us individually, when. So before I say what, I want you to grab a piece of paper, if you can, right now, and a pen or a big fat Sharpie and maybe a marker, like a Sharpie marker, not a pen. So grab that right now. We've been in the studio for, 2.5 days now. Today will be the 3rd day, felting with Kiyoshi. And Kiyoshi, you came last year and taught a class, and like you've been experiencing as you travel around, your classes fill up wherever you go. So much so you're sharing even in Europe and stuff, in the UK, when you go, the class fills, they book another class.
Well, yeah, just recently that happened. I was surprised.
Yeah, and your classes here fill up too. We just haven't booked second classes because our calendar is so full.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, I hope you have your pen and your magnet, your paper. So I'm going to show you what, but the first thing I want you to do is write down fall 2019. I want you to write down fall 2019. We are launching a brand new online school for felting tutorials. And our friend Kiyoshi is here in the Living Felt Studios this week shooting the very first tutorial of invited teachers. And we have more invited teachers that are coming over time. I'm going to tell you later where you'll find that and later what are some goodies or benefits you can get from having watched this live show. But first, let's show you what he's been working on that you'll be able to take an online workshop with Kiyoshi. So I'm going to let him do it because it's his amazing piece.
So, this is a piece I made earlier, but yeah, I'm going to be
Bring it on up.
The video tutorial is going to be on how to make open-winged birds. And this is the model that I'm using. But
And tell us a little bit about this bird.
So again, I like to choose endangered species whenever I can. And so I chose this one, despite the fact that it's insanely difficult because of all the complex patterning and feathers. In spite of that, I still chose it because it's the most endangered bird in North America. It has that unfortunate status. But it's the Florida Grasshopper Sparrow, and it's pretty much on the very verge of disappearing completely. There's only, any minute it could be completely gone. They're expecting, but there's less than 80 individuals in the wild.
That is amazing.
And so there are people desperately trying to breed them, like in laboratories, and reintroduce them. But the main problem is that their habitat is almost completely gone already. So there's not much you can do other than try to change the way we live in general. Our consumption and all that. But they can only live in prairies in central Florida, and those have mostly been turned into farmland and developments. There's just not too many places left for them to survive. So they're just a very small sparrow, and they have a call that sounds like a grasshopper.
Aww.
Which is why they're called grasshopper sparrows. There are other subspecies of grasshopper sparrow that aren't so endangered, but this one in particular is.
So I wanted to answer, I saw a couple of questions come through and I read them super fast, so forgive me if I don't have the name. Anne may have seen it, but someone asked, is this a live online school or will it be recorded for later viewing? We have really, really taken our time filming this, so it will not be live. There's a lot of fun dynamics with live, and maybe we'll do that with a few of the workshops, which is really a lot of great fun. But Kiyoshi's such a meticulous, purposeful, thoughtful needle felter. We're recording it in very slowly to show you the accuracy. So I can tell you, like, we're doing like one little thing. I'm like, how long is that going to take?
Marie gets frustrated.
No. But we're up to like 10. We're up to 10 sessions now. And like the one session, he's like, well, that's going to be 2 to 3 hours. So just to learn how to do the feathers. So we're going to break it down, and he will show you every single step of something where that really matters, and then he'll show you how to do like the patterning of the wings. That'll be like how to do the patterning, and then you have to go on and finish the patterning. So you don't have to watch 10 hours of patterning, but he'll tell you exactly how to make the whole thing. And now,
just finished constructing the wings.
Yeah,
that's the sort of the hardest part.
The hardest part, but and then
you can see like how to lay out all the feathers and everything.
Yeah.
We just finished that, so that was a relief.
Yeah, it's going really well. And so the classes are going to be viewable online. You'll stream them. You don't have to download them. It's going to be like on your computer, on your tablet, or on your phone, so you can view them anytime you want. And so once you sign up for the class, then you'll be available to watch it online, and you don't have to be able to hold these huge files, and they're big. I mean, it's really big. We're doing big HD videos, so it's a lot of fun. And this little guy weighs about
should I
half
show
ounce.
the diagram or
of the wings? No, we'll save that for the students. So if you take the class, he's going to give you some extras that will give you like a real solid reference. So just remember that's fall 2019. Hang and put a note on your refrigerator. Kiyoshi Open Wing Bird Workshop. You want to make sure that you follow Kiyoshi, follow us on Instagram, get on our newsletter. So you can go to our website, which is livingfelt.com. We're a felting supplier based here in the US. As you can see, we have friends all over the world. We ship all over the world. This class is going to be available to everyone. So get on our newsletter, which goes out pretty much on Saturdays, unless I'm just really underwater, and join our Facebook group, which is fb.com/groups/livingfeltfriends, because our newsletter and our Facebook group always get first notice of everything that we have going on, and the online felting tutorials will be the same. So we have more work and more recording to do, and Kiyoshi's got 3 days of teaching to do. So let's just take a few more questions and then we'll give away some prizes. Now, before Anne's gonna find us a couple questions, Kiyoshi, what else do you have coming up the rest of this year?
Okay, as far I have a bunch of classes coming up. So for people in the Netherlands, I'm teaching at Atelier. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Atelier Fiber Fusing.
Yeah, I'm on their email list.
Yeah.
All the classes I can never go to, I'm on those email lists.
Yeah. I taught a series of workshops there last year, and so I'm
What are you
doing the
teaching
same.
there?
So I'm teaching 3 classes, just one shorter class that's, I mean, it's supposed to be kind of for beginners, but it'll be difficult. But it's a 2-day class on cat face, just faces and heads,
Cool.
like cat heads, cat faces. And I'll use like a cheetah and a clouded leopard as models for that. And then a 3-day class on owls, just folded
Awesome.
owls, not openly. And I still need to finish making that piece as soon as I get home. And then a class on the cheetah.
Awesome.
So the 3 classes in a week, one after another. So
Yeah.
it'll
Busy.
be pretty intense.
You're gonna be tired.
Yeah, and that'll be August 1st through 7th.
Oh, how exciting.
So I'll have a week after I get home to finish my owl, and then I'm going to Amsterdam, and then I'll have 1 day of rest when I get home from Amsterdam, and then I'm going to Wisconsin to teach a class with Susan McFarland at her symposium. I think it's called Beyond the Fiber. That'll be at the 10th through the 11th, 10th and 11th, I think, of August.
Okay.
And that's going to be also the cat faces and
fun.
cat heads. And then I'll have a little bit of time off, and then I'm in early September, so I don't remember the dates, but maybe the first or second week of September is the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival, and I'm doing a class on the sparrow, the open-winged birds.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Busy guy. And we plan to have him back next year, of course, and we're also working on, we're going to do an online class for this next year, though, 2020. 2020 would be the clouded leopard. So in the meantime, build up your needle felting skills, and armature skills.
For the
and
next
work on
video.
Yeah, like
cool.
2020 though, because we have to compare schedules, so that'll be amazing too. So last things, you're not farming anymore.
Right.
No more farming. So that question came through by a few people.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Is he farming anymore? No, you're doing this full time. This is what you do.
So we had to give up the farm. We did it for like just over 6 years, I think, and it's been about 1.5 years or something that we gave that up. And my wife, I always have to thank my wife because she makes it possible for me to do this like full time.
Yeah.
Not get a real job because
So say hi.
she got a full-time job. She was a librarian. That was the career that she threw away before we became farming. But now she was luckily able to get back into that, and so she's the archivist of a small college where we live, and so she does that full-time, which really helps me do what I do. Because I don't make enough money to make a living yet by any means, but the plan is slowly getting there, and I'm making more each year. The teaching helps. Like I wasn't able to teach when I was farming because I just had no time.
You can't. Yeah.
So now that I'm doing this full time, I can teach. I can make more pieces, and a couple of years ago I started really doing this full time.
Yeah, full time.
Yeah.
Cool. And I saw one person ask the same question twice. I imagine the answer is no, but they want to know: do you have any books that about needle felting that you've read or you refer to?
No, I haven't read any books. I mean, I'm pretty much just self-taught,
Self-taught.
just figuring stuff out.
That's what I figured.
From trial and error and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I don't really know
Nothing.
the books.
None. Okay, so you know what? Let's give away some prizes. Is it about that time, Ann? Okay, so we're gonna give away some prizes, and thank you all so much for your Q&A with Kiyoshi. It's always fun for us to see what you're asking and you wanna know. We're excited to bring him for the live workshop here with everybody, and we're excited that he's gonna be bringing some of his amazing skills and talents and just techniques to share them in person. So he's a very generous teacher. He's gonna just tell you everything and show you exactly how he does it. And you know, one of the things I like about you, Kiyoshi, is that you really have developed your own methods. You know, like I sort of have my way. I have my way, and another teacher has another way, and you have your way. It's like, I love it because there's not one way. Like you use merino top. I brought in a couple of pieces just for the set today. Like this one's by Irene Clark, and it's a kitty. It uses, I think, both some merino and some New Zealand, and it has like a different look to it. You're using 100% merino, and the coat is very smooth. This guy we've shared before was made for us by Sandra Atkins, and it's all alpaca. So just, you know, when you're wanting to make a furry animal, think about the staple length and just, you know, try something different, try something new. Oh, look, the fairies are here. So they want to give away prizes. So y'all come on in, and I'm going to get out. I know we can't all fit in, so I'm going to get out of the way. We're zoomed in. So I see Hannah and Anne only. Where's Kiyoshi? Get in, Kiyoshi.
I don't mind.
And I don't see Holly at all.
Oh, too bad.
on the big parent. I see half of Holly. Kiyoshi, move down a step.
This way?
Are we good?
All right, guys. So let's give away some prizes.
All right, Kiyoshi, do you want to draw the first one?
Sure. Right. So should I read it?
Yes.
Pam Cavell Denev.
Yes, Pam Denev, yeah. Congratulations, Pam. You win a super variety pack of felt needles.
Nice.
Kayla.
I'll take the name.
All right. Heidi Gutman Segelhorst.
Yes. Heidi, you win an MC1 Earth Tone Studio Pack.
Awesome.
Yay.
Woo! And you know what? If she doesn't like the other tones, you can choose something.
Yeah.
And then Holly.
Sue Zuber.
Yay.
Sue, you win an assortment of armature and some core wool, so you can make your own, you know, felted animals.
Yeah.
Get a nice.
Yay, everybody. I'm going to be getting here and say thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you so much. Be sure to, if you're watching the YouTube playback, hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time we upload a new video. What's our group address? fb.com/livingfeld. Follow at Kiyoshi Mino anywhere he is on the web. And thank you guys so much for joining us. Be sure to get on our newsletter so you find out about his class. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Thank you.